Thank you so much. Actually, first thing I want to do is say thank you to a few people. I want to thank Mary Lou Smith, who is here today as the summer service representative, and she's asked me a couple times to come up and stand before you. And the first time I said, I'm not ready. And the second time she said, I guess I better say yes, so they might not ask me again. Also want to thank Bob and Wes, who are here ushering today. And I certainly want to thank Margie and the choir for indulging my whims. You're all wonderful. Thank you. The title of my sermon today started out as a joke based on the theory of 6 degrees of separation, which basically states that everyone is 6 or less degrees or steps or introductions away from any other person in the world. This theory was originally proposed by a Hungarian author, I'm going to try and get this right, Karinthi Frigyes. And it was popularized by John Guar's play titled 6 Degrees of Separation, which was then adapted to the screen, which many of you have no doubt seen. In the story, the actors make a game of trying to figure out how far any given celebrity is from the actor Kevin Bacon. Now, when I play that game in my head, and look at the people I've known over the course of my life, I realize that this could actually be true for myself. I might really be 6 degrees away from everyone else on the planet. For one, I have an extended family member who works for the United Nations. Prior to that, he worked for Oxfam. I don't even know where he is now. Mauritius? But I'm connected to thousands of people all over the world through him. Another friend appeared in an independent film recently, The Kings of Summer, with Megan Mullally and Nick Offerman. So now I'm only 2 introductions away from them, and only 3 degrees of separation away from Amy Poehler and Tina Fey. That's pretty impressive. So just for fun, I checked out Kevin Bacon's page on IMDb, the Internet Movie Database, and sure enough, back in 2002, Kevin Bacon guest starred as himself on an episode of Will and Grace with Megan Mullally. So, there you have it. I am only 3 degrees of separation away from Kevin Bacon. How far could I possibly be from the rest of the world? It was a thought I had to think about. So for the past several years, I've been telling anyone who will listen about the 6 degrees of separation. And then I tell them that in Grand Rapids, there's only one. In Grand Rapids, everybody is no more than 1 degree of separation away from everybody else. It's true, isn't it? Every time you meet somebody new, you have mutual friends, and you can't go anywhere in this town without running into someone you know. Am I right? All right.
That's right.
Can I get a witness? Here are a couple of examples. It's about a 20-mile round trip from our house in Comstock Park to downtown. So Eli, my son, who came up and spoke earlier, rides the bus most days, and I give him a ride to the bus stop. Last winter, we were sitting at the bus stop talking about the 1 degree of separation theory a lot. And one morning, this red car pulled up, maybe 50 feet away from us. The driver, another mom, was dropping her son off at the bus stop at the same time I was dropping off Eli. I pointed them out to him, and I said, we're probably connected to them in some way, too. He agreed that was likely, and came back to me later on to report that, indeed, he had spoken to the young man on the bus. And what do you know? He turned out to be the nephew of Eli's former drum teacher and my friend, Randy Marsh. So that's how we met Randy's sister, Sandy, and his nephew, Jake. Another example happened right here at Fountain Street Church. Just this past spring, I was walking through the social hall when I made eye contact with a stranger, and we smiled at each other in that way that you do. Friendly, but not too forward. You don't want them to think you're flirting. Then my inner choir recruiter woke up and said, "You should introduce yourself to this person. He might be a tenor." I let my gaze drop to his name tag, and wouldn't you know, it was a name I hadn't seen since high school. someone I considered to be one of my best friends, but had lost track of. The person I used to get dressed up with and go to the Rocky Horror Picture Show, weekend after countless weekend. I rummaged through my purse to produce my own name tag and showed it to my friend. His eyes popped open a little. "No way." My friend said, "Way," I said. We hugged and the reunion began. It's important to stay open to these possible connections, to see each other anew and avoid our usual ruts. You never know who you're going to run into. I've found this to be especially true in social hubs like Facebook, where I regularly find old friends I thought I'd never see again, and new kindred spirits through our mutual friends. It's hard to stay open to all these connections sometimes. It's too easy to allow fear to dictate our actions instead of love. As children, we are carefully taught to fear the dark and the unknown, and to stay away from strangers, stranger danger. That same conditioning, meant to keep us safe as children, makes it difficult for us as adults to assess that danger rationally and move beyond that conditioned response to open our hearts and act with love. Another example happened last fall when, in spite of our fears and better judgment, we took in a couple of men who were homeless. They had been hanging around at church on Sundays and during choir rehearsals, and I was kind of surprised when I found out that they were homeless. That really bothered me because both of them were younger than my son Eli. And although he's working and going to school, he's still living at home. And I can't imagine what his life would be like without parental support. So one Sunday in October, I invited them home for dinner. Within minutes of arriving at our house, an epic Nerf battle erupted in the backyard. I watched them play fighting with my two boys for a while and shook my head as I looked at my husband. I said, "They're just kids. There must be something we can do for them." After dinner, we listened to their stories, and then we had a family discussion. And we decided to let them stay for a while. One young man stayed with us for a month, and the other one is still with us.